أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي آمين يا رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope all of you are doing great and you guys have been practicing what we learned so far and you are ready to learn the new concepts in Arabic. So before we begin, as always, Rabbi Yassir, Wala Tu'assir, wa Tamim bil Khair. So in this lesson, we are going to study the types of ism. Now, in our previous lesson, we had concluded with a term with the terms called غير منصرف asma, and I had told you that we'll be studying a great deal about it in the upcoming chapters. This chapter is uh, going to elaborate on that, inshallah. All right, so what is meant by types of ism? So let's just begin from the very beginning. So we had alphabets. All right, so letters. We had alphabets plus the vowel sound that made a word. Then words are divided into three types: ism, fail, and haruf. Okay, so fail is the word that shows the tense in it, as in whether an action took place in past, present, or is going to take place in the future. Then haruf are the words that are meaningless on their own, but whenever they are joined or whenever they are beside a fail or an ism, they mean they impart something meaningful. Okay, and finally, ism was any idea, any name, all right, pronouns, and all those kind of things that we studied in lesson number 2. So further, this chapter is about is about the further classification of ism. Okay, and that's what we are going to cover, inshallah. That what is an ism divided into? There are three groups of ism. Okay, and we have almost learned all the basics of one group. Okay, all right. The second group is the one that we got introduced to in the last lesson. Okay, the ghair munsarif asma, and this third group is the one that we are going to touch briefly in this lesson and then learn a bit more in some elaboration in the next lesson, inshallah, which is lesson 5b. So let's get started. Okay, so we had studied this table in the previous lesson and let's just revise it again. So we had masjidun, which is the singular form of singular, which is singular, and nakra. Okay, so we worked out its nakra from this tanween, and tanween is present on is usually present on the singular forms. Okay, so masjidin, a mosque, masjidan, again a mosque, and masjidin, a mosque, but in jar configuration. Then nakra, but nakra, but plural, so we have masajidu. Okay, masajidu is the rafa form, masajida is the nasab form, and masajida, again, since it is nakra without any al, it is masajida and not masajidi. Next, we add the al in it and we make it mu'arraf bil, so we get al masajidu, al masajida, and al masajidi, because as we had studied earlier on, the ghair munsarif asma, they can accept a zir or a kasra in mu'arraf bil form. Okay, therefore masajida is the nakra form and al masajidi is the jar form, but in the marfa configuration. All right, so why did I revise this table? Because we have Okay, I did it again. Yeah. So anyways, so here we have this particular group. This Tanveen bearing group has been included in the group 1 that I showed earlier. Okay, this is group 1, and this here forms group 2. Okay, group 2. All right, so let's get down to it. So there are three types of ism based on their structure. Okay, so we have the fully flexible ones, partially flexible ones, and the non-flexible ones. These are just the rough translations, all right. But what I want you to understand and memorize, or what I want you to refer to these asma as, is the munsarif asma, ghair munsarif asma, or the mabni asma. Okay, because the sooner you get used to these Arabic terminologies, it's going to be easier for you at the higher level, inshallah. Okay, so try and incorporate this vocabulary in your everyday life. So instead of saying common noun, try and say ism nakra, and so on and so forth. Okay, so what do we have in munsarif asma? Munsarif asma are the ones that bear tanween. Okay, so we have the sound an, in. Okay, uh, and then the partially flexible ones, they are the ones that do not bear a tanween, number one, and number two, so it does not bear a tanween, and number two, as we studied earlier, their rafa form, all right, let's do it this way. Their nasab and jar forms are similar in nakra form. Okay, but it is not equal to rafa form. Okay, so rafa form is different, but nasab and jar form are the same. All right, so this is to put it in a nutshell. And then we have the non-flexible ones. They are the easiest, and we'll cover it at in the end. Okay, so let's get here. We have the fully flexible ones. They are called munsarif asma. Okay, munsarif. Okay, munsarif. Okay, and all the examples that we have been studying so far, they are included in the munsarif group. Okay, so kitabun, tanween bearing, again, see. All right, so kitabun, kitabun, kitabun. All right, so we have all of these. Since they bear tanween, they are in munsarif group. So tanween bearing, number one. Secondly, structurally different rafa, nasab, and jar forms in singular asma. Alright, so rafa form is not equal to nasab form, which is not equal to jar form. Alright, so this is rafa, this is nasab, and this is jar. So all of these are different. Bun, ban, bin. Alright, similarly, in the word Muhammadun, alayhi salatu wasalam, we have Muhammadun, Muhammadan, Muhammadin. Alright, different forms, different structures in rafa, nasab, and jar configuration. This is munsarif asma. Alright, so let's sum it up together. Once again, tanween bearing, number one, and number two, r is not equal, as in rafa is not equal to nasab, is not equal to jar. Okay, and this is it. Then let's get to this one. Now there are a couple of points that we are going to elaborate on regarding this regarding this Munsarif Asma group, and our main focus is actually going to be on the Munsarif Asma. All right, because when we are going to study the gender and the number, all right, so how to make plurals and all these kind of things, all the fragments and stuff, we are actually going to be focusing on the Munsarif group instead of the Ghair Munsarif asma. All right, so we have next we have the partially flexible ones, also known as ghair munsarif asma, and I would actually ask you to remember it as ghair munsarif. Ghair means non. All right, so non-munsarif. So ghair munsarif asma munsarif. All right. So what's with these? Number one, no tanween. Okay, as it says here, and we already know the example of masajidu, which is mosques in nakra form. So masajidu rafa, masajida nasab, again masajida jar. Okay, uh, just to connect it with the previous lesson, if I add al to it, it would be al masajidu, al masajida, but al masajidi. Okay, so this was the connection or the link with the previous lesson. Now let's get done with the second point. Okay, so no tanween, number one. Okay, no tanween. What's the second point? As we can see from here, um, nasab. All right, let's do it this way. Nasab is equal to jar, but both of these are not equal to rafa. Okay, so nasab and jar forms are same, all right, but rafa form is different. So masajidu, that's one block, masajida, that's the second block. Okay, therefore nasab and jar forms are equal to each other, as in they are similar to each other, but rafa form is different. Second example is Ibrahimu alayhi salatu wasalam. We have Ibrahimu, Ibrahima, Ibrahima. Okay, so once again, separate block, Ibrahimu, Rafa, then Ibrahima and Ibrahima, Nasab and Jar, separate block. Therefore, no tanween and this equation of ours that Rafa is not equal to Nasab and Jar. Done. Now, this Ghair Munsarif group has a couple of categories in it. Okay, so many names are included in this, and we're going to study this exhaustively in the next lesson, which is lesson 5b. All right, so we'll touch on this subject again. Next, we have the non-flexible group. As the name indicates, it's non-flexible, which means that all the Rafa, Nasab, Jar forms are going to be the same. Okay, so for example, if I have the word, Musa, all right, so Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, we have Musa. Now this is actually Rafa form, then this is Nasab form, then again this is Jar form. Okay, now you see it's Musa, 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 but if you recall, we had Muhammadun, Muhammadan, and Muhammadin alayhi salatu wasalam. All right, so uh, the word Muhammad is munsarif, the word Ibrahimu is ghair munsarif, and the word Musa is mabni. All right, so this is called mabni. Mabni. All right, so these are mabni asma, and once again no tanween, and structurally same rafa, nasab, and jar forms. All right, so non-flexible ones are those asma that have their rafa equal to nasab equal to jar. All right, number one, and of course no tanween. All right, this sums it all up. The vocabulary related to it would be increased with the passage of time, as we're going to keep on studying and actually reading the Quran, inshallah. I'm not saying reciting, but reading and studying. So that's what increases your vocabulary. So now to sum it all up, okay, let's just do it this way. How do you zoom it? Okay, it's not zooming in, so I'll just write it down here. So we have three groups of ism, and yeah, this is better. There are three groups of ism. First group is the munsarif one. Second one is the ghair munsarif one. And the third one is the mabni one. Okay, so munsarif, ghair munsarif, and mabni. What are the basic standout points? Number one, in what's happening? Okay, so what are the signature points? Number one, in this munsarif group, we have tanween. Okay. Number two, in the second group, we have no tanween. No tanween. Alright, and in the mabni group, again, this point repeats itself, no tanween. Then what's the second point? The second point is that the rafa is is not equal to nasab, is not equal to jar. Okay, and in ghair munsarif it's the other way around. Alright, so in munsarif, ghair munsarif, and mabni. So here we have rafa not equal to nasab and not equal to jar. Okay, in ghair munsarif we have rafa is not equal to nasab, which is equal to jar, and in mabni all of them are identical. Okay, so this is what, and of course no tanween. So this was about this chapter. Once again, ism can be either munsarif, non-munsarif, or ghair munsarif, and mabni. The mabni ones are the ism that have similar structure in rafa, nasab, and jar forms, and they never have a tanween. Okay, and the ghair munsarif ones are those that have similar nasab and jar forms, but different rafa forms, and they of course do not carry any tanween. And the last one is munsarif group, which forms the bulk of all the asma. All right, so it's nearly about 83 or 88% of asma are munsarif. Okay, so that's really a relief because most of our rules are actually going to be about non-munsarif asma. So, and also munsarif asma are the tanween bearing ones, and the rafa, nasab, and jar forms in the singular form, in the singular ism, are different from each other. So that's that. And lesson 5b is going to touch the subject of ghair munsarif asma in a bit detail, and it's going to enlist what kind of words are actually included, or they have a higher chance of being in the ghair munsarif list. All right, so until that time, inshallah, keep on practicing, and just uh, memorize this thing, this classification that we did right now, because it's going to make your life easier when we get to the higher levels, inshallah. All right, so barakallahu li wa lakum fil Quran al Hakim, and inshallah we'll meet in the next lesson. Allah Hafiz.